Did you know that almost 10% of the world's population live on less than $1.90 a day? That's over 770 million people. Let's dive into the reality of these numbers, starting with the 10th poorest country in the world. Situated in West Africa, Guinea, with a GDP per capita of just $1,000, is the 10th poorest country in the world. This nation, despite its natural beauty and rich cultural heritage, is gripped by economic hardship. The root causes of Guinea's poverty are manifold. Political instability, marked by frequent changes in government and corruption, hampers long-term development and discourages foreign investment. Natural disasters such as floods and droughts further exacerbate the country's precarious economic situation. Guinea's struggles extend beyond economics. The country grapples with significant health and education challenges. Many Guineans lack access to basic healthcare services, and the education system, while improving, still leaves much to be desired. The literacy rate remains low, and many children are out of school. Despite its rich natural resources, including bountiful reserves of gold, diamonds, and bauxite, Guinea struggles to break free from the shackles of poverty. Moving to southern Africa, our 9th poorest country is Mozambique, with a GDP per capita of $970. This nation, nestled along the Indian Ocean, is grappling with a multitude of economic challenges. The civil war that ended in the early 90s left a lingering scar, disrupting Mozambique's path to economic progress. In addition, the specter of climate change looms large. With a significant portion of its population dependent on agriculture, erratic weather patterns have led to devastating droughts and floods, further straining its fragile economy. Despite these hurdles, Mozambique is not without hope. The government, along with the help of international organizations, is making strides in areas such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. These efforts are aimed at fostering sustainable growth and reducing poverty in the long run. Mozambique's journey towards prosperity is a challenging one, marred by its troubled past. As we move our gaze from Mozambique, let's quickly recap what we've learned so far. We've seen the stark realities in Guinea, where economic hardship is part of everyday life. Then we journeyed to Mozambique, a nation grappling with the effects of civil war and natural disasters. Each country has its own unique struggles, yet they share a common thread: extreme poverty. Our journey takes us next to Liberia, the 8th poorest country in the world. Liberia, with a GDP per capita of $900, takes the 8th spot in our list. This West African nation, known for its lush rainforests and long sandy coastlines, grapples with the aftermath of a brutal civil war that left its economy in shambles. Despite efforts towards reconstruction and development, the challenges of corruption, inadequate infrastructure, and a lack of skilled workers continue to hamper its progress. Next, we journey to the heart of Africa, to the Democratic Republic of Congo, which holds the 7th position with a GDP per capita of $870. The DRC, despite being endowed with vast natural resources, is embroiled in political instability and conflict. The country's potential wealth is offset by the challenges of weak governance, limited infrastructure, and a protracted humanitarian crisis. Moving eastward, we find Burundi, the 6th poorest country with a GDP per capita of $800. Burundi, a landlocked country, is grappling with the repercussions of decades-long ethnic conflict. Its heavily agriculture-dependent economy is vulnerable to climate change and soil erosion, adding to the country's economic woes. Finally, in the heart of the continent lies the Central African Republic, the 5th poorest country in the world with a GDP per capita of $700. A nation rich in diamonds, gold, and uranium, the Central African Republic is, paradoxically, one of the world's poorest and least developed countries. The country's progress is hindered by political instability, armed conflict, and inadequate access to education and healthcare. These countries, despite their rich cultural heritage and natural resources, find themselves ensnared in the trap of poverty. Each has its own unique set of challenges, yet they all share a common struggle for development and prosperity. Their stories are a stark reminder of the economic disparities that exist in our world today, and the need for concerted global efforts to alleviate poverty and foster sustainable development. Moving on, let's delve into the realities of the 4th to 2nd poorest countries. Let's begin with Niger. Located in West Africa, Niger is primarily a desert nation, with over 80% of its land area covered by the Sahara. This harsh climate poses significant challenges to agriculture, the mainstay of the nation's economy. Despite being rich in uranium, the country's wealth does not trickle down to the average citizen due to rampant corruption and mismanagement. The lack of infrastructure and the high fertility rate also contribute to the country's poverty. Next, we travel to the southeastern part of Africa, to Malawi. Known as the warm heart of Africa, Malawi unfortunately has a cold economic reality. Despite the country's reliance on agriculture, unpredictable weather patterns often lead to poor harvests and food shortages. Furthermore, Malawi's economy suffers from a high dependency on foreign aid and a heavy disease burden, particularly from HIV/AIDS, which affects productivity and lifespan. Finally, we journey to the heart of Africa, to South Sudan. The newest nation in the world, South Sudan broke away from Sudan in 2011 after decades of civil war. However, the young nation has struggled with ongoing conflict and political instability, severely hampering its development. Despite being oil-rich, South Sudan's wealth is marred by corruption, and the majority of its citizens live in dire poverty. The country also struggles with poor healthcare and education systems, further limiting its growth prospects. These are not just numbers or facts on a page. They are the lived realities of millions of people in Niger, Malawi, and South Sudan. But it's important to remember that these nations are not defined by their poverty. They are countries rich in culture, history, and potential. They are nations of people who, despite their circumstances, continue to persevere, innovate, and strive for a better future. These countries, despite their struggles, continue to strive for a better future. Finally, we arrive at the poorest country in the world, Burundi. This East African nation, nestled between Rwanda, Tanzania, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, grapples with a chronically fragile economy. Its dependence on subsistence farming leaves it vulnerable to climate changes and natural disasters. The aftermath of a devastating civil war coupled with political instability has further stifled economic growth. Burundi's struggles extend beyond its economy. The country faces significant health and educational challenges. Limited access to clean water and healthcare services alongside widespread malnutrition contribute to a high mortality rate. Meanwhile, the education system remains under-resourced, leading to low literacy rates and limited opportunities for the younger generation. Yet, despite these trials, there's a resilience to be found in the people of Burundi. They continue to strive for better days, demonstrating a spirit that refuses to be defeated by their circumstances. Burundi, despite its heart-wrenching poverty, holds a resilient spirit. As we conclude this journey, let's recap the lessons learned. We've traversed the globe, unearthing the harsh realities faced by the 10 poorest nations. Each country's struggle is a testament to the pervasive issue of global poverty. In a world of abundance, these figures are a stark reminder of the disparities that exist. Remember, knowledge is the first step towards change.